T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All right. Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well this weekend and on this fine Sunday evening. I'm really excited for this upcoming podcast. You're now tapped into the coolest reptile podcast network in the world, the Trap Talk Reptile Podcast. So, this is Krista with the Girls Who Love Reptiles podcast, and we're already on number 11 with Miss Holly from Texoma Exotics. Super excited for this episode. I met her in Daytona, and we kind of hit it off and asked her to come on the show. So I'm really excited to talk to another fellow lady breeder, and she does the podcasting, of course, herself. So I think wanted that to be the main focus of the show because I find that, pretty interesting and how she got started with that. So again, hope you guys are all doing well. I'll say hi to some of you guys in the chat before we do the sponsors. So we got Scott from Noble Family Fauna. Got a long drive. Oh, hope your drive is going well and staying safe on the road. Appreciate you for tapping in. We got Chucky. Thanks for tapping in. I don't know what that little symbol is. Maybe it's supposed to be emoji or something that's not coming up for me. We got Amanda from PJ's Creations. Our favorite part of Sunday. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's been a lot of fun so far. I've learned a lot and had a lot of fun doing it. We got Mike. Mike's always tapping in, one of the early birds. So nice to see you here. Thanks for tapping in. We got Matt. Thanks for tapping in, Matt. Got Exotic A1 Pets. Heck yeah, let's get it. Whoop, whoop. Yeah. I love all the little emojis there. Thanks for tapping in. Appreciate that. Yeah, a bunch of you guys are coming in. Reptifari. Oh, also met Holly in Daytona. Yep, that was a great show. We were talking about a little bit behind the scenes too. It's my first time going there. Definitely will be back. Octopus with No Friends. Yep, thanks for coming here. I'll kind of shut that off before we go to the sponsors. But yeah, I hope you guys are having a pretty weekend. Pretty slow to me. I would say just kind of chilling out at home. I have a pretty bad headache I've gotten this afternoon, so I'm a little more kind of subdued than normal. Took some medication, so we'll see if that helps. But we'll do some of the sponsors. So we got US ARC. So again, of course, say this every episode, but it's really, really, really important that you guys go and support these guys. They are our voice for the legislation. It's happening. There's always seems to be new laws coming up trying to restrict our rights to keep these animals, and we need US ARC in order to do what we love day in, day out. So if you haven't already, please go there, become a membership. Extremely important. Even if you are just listening in, don't keep reptiles. Just if you have any sort of interest or love in them, just go and become a member. It's really, really important and really vital for the hobby that we have people like this in order to fight for us to be able to have these wonderful animals. And then we have the COCO Dudes with the chipper. So if you go to cocodude.com, you use TrapFam24, you can get a percentage off your order. I believe he's out of Kansas City, I think, so not super far from me. And then we have Blake's from Blake's Exotic Feeders. Has a really awesome YouTube channel, so definitely go check him out there. But even with that, he also does quail. So we're always talking about wanting to feed our animals the best possible meals as possible. So if you go to him, say you're coming from the Trap Fam, he will set you up with feeders there. So definitely check Blake out. And we'll kind of finish it up with Clutch. So Summer and everybody at Canova, of course, has their organization tool, their breeding planner, which is really, really neat. So if you're in ball pythons and looking for that kind of planner and breeding and checking out what everybody else is kind of doing for their collections. Definitely look into that. I know they have a lot of new and upcoming features coming out soon, maybe even adding more species. So be on the lookout for that. And with that, we have Miss Holly. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. We were just chit-chatting backstage. I almost lost track of time. I saw a little countdown. It was like 10, 9. I was like, oh, shoot, I got to cut this off. We'll be back and talking. So
Right.
yeah, it was great.
I
How's your
wanna
weekend
say
been going?
first,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
been busy, but I love your little cat back there. I seen it earlier get up there. I was like, oh, how cute.
Yeah, I have several of them, and this is like their room. And if I keep them out, they'll scream and scratch, and I can't really concentrate. So I figured I'll just let them in, let them do their thing. I have this other one here. If you can see him, he's chilling out here. But yeah, so hopefully they won't be too much of a hassle. But
Right.
So, yeah. So pretty busy weekend, I think. You said you're in a lot of shows. You're saying coming up.
Well, I don't have a lot coming up. I'm not going to a lot. Not going to do the Chicago this season. Just, I think, I'll do a couple of locals and kind of recuperate from the Daytona show. Like I was telling you, I had COVID really bad, and getting over that was pretty hard. But it's better now. Yeah, I've been a super busy weekend. Like Sundays is our rodent day, and with yard work in there, plus housework and customers coming in and out for rodents. So you're just like, oh yeah.
Yeah. How many rodents do you have, and what do you produce?
So we do ASFs and just the Norwegians. We cut back here a while back, just producing enough for ourselves, and then the customer base picked up, and so I'm having to revamp everything. And yeah, it's kind of mind-boggling at times, but yeah, we get it done, right?
So mainly ASFs then. Okay.
Oh, Norwegians too. Yeah.
Oh, Norwegian. Okay, I missed that. What's like the mix between the two? Is it mostly Norwegians, or do you do like half and half? Or
so I believe our Freedom Breeder rack is what we use for the ASFs, and I believe there's 9 drawers on it. But then on our ASFs, like 24 drawers of them. So we do 3-to-1 in the Norwegians, and it's like 2-to-10 on the ASF. So it just kind of balances itself out, and just catching up with it all, trying to revamp it. It's a little bit slower this time. Before we didn't have a problem. We were just popping them out. So yeah.
Okay. So you do the 2-10 ASF, or 2-to-10 ASFs. Okay. And I do I would say I do 1 and 4 with the Norwegians. Just started breeding them this summer, and I'm finally starting to kind of see a pretty good production now. I kind of rotate the male, or a couple of males, just trying to figure out what works for me. So it sounds like some people keep them in the tub, and then some people rotate them. So I've just kind of been trying to figure that out.
Yeah. So we keep ours in the tub. We've never had a problem with it. You don't want to take a male and put it in with a mama that has babies already.
Okay.
Because they'll eat them. So.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah. So that's why I keep everything. I put them in there. They raise their kids in there. We have a separate grow out. Everything works well that way. And I know a lot of people take them out and put them with like a nursing rodent, and I don't do that either.
Okay, so you just keep the whole colony just in the tub then?
Yep.
The dad and the okay. Yeah, I don't have too many colonies. Some people also say like, rotate and they'll eat them, and it kind of cuts down on food maybe too of the male. I don't know. I don't have that many to really make that judgment, but I could see that making sense where you wouldn't have, if you have less males, you're not feeding them as much. So
yeah, well, that, and like your vegetables you have left over in the kitchen and stuff, you can put out there. eggshells. We also put the black sunflower seeds in with
Yep.
them.
Yep.
So
I do that. What else do I do? Some cat food. They get weekly. Yeah, sunflower seeds and mealworms. Yeah, and the vegetables and occasionally the hard-boiled eggs. They seem to like. I like spoiling them. It's like a lot of fun where you clean and it smells so good, and then you like treat them and you hear them like crunching
yes,
on all the little treats. It's so sad. It's just really satisfying.
they also really like regular Cheerios.
I have a box of Cheerios in there. Yeah, not very often, but I will give them
Yep.
some. And uncooked pasta they like too. I have found probably good for their teeth.
Yeah. And so
So,
on
yeah.
like the ASFs, we like to put what is that called? The sweet potatoes in with them.
I've heard that. I've not tried that yet, but I've heard that recently that it's really good for them.
Yes, they do really well with that.
Huh. You just do just a raw, wash it, of course, and just put it in there, or do you cook it?
I just put raw in there. I know a bunch of people, they'll cook them, but we've always just done raw. And that helps with, them getting more fluids. They're not gnawing on each other that way.
Yeah. That is a good. I'm gonna do that for mine too. I didn't want to turn this into a rodent podcast show, but I do like the rodents. I really do.
I do too.
Yeah, I do like doing them. I could see myself doing them like on a larger scale at some point whenever I'm done with school and doing that as a bigger part of the business than just breeding the reptiles. I don't know why. I just like that. It's really satisfying to me. So
they're more work than the snakes, honestly.
They are more work, but I don't know. Maybe it's like the instant gratification you get because you're waiting for all the snakes to grow up and you're kind of breeding the rodents that you find are really, really satisfying. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know. Plus they're really smart and cute, and I like picking out the pretty colors and keeping those back. And it's a lot of fun. And the Dumbo ears, I love those too. Oh, that's what I get for having cats in here.
That sounds like a tragedy that just happened.
Nah, he had fallen off the windowsill for whatever reason. Yeah. But anyways. So I'll get back to the reptiles, but like what kind of got you into the reptile hobby, and kind of give a background on what you started, what you're doing now on that side of it. And
okay. So we suffered a very close loss in our family, and it was very tragic. And my husband, we were actually down in Dallas one weekend, and he's like, "Hey, there's a reptile show over here." And I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "You want to go?" I was like, "I don't care." And we walked in, and I just had such a good feeling come over me. And the people there were amazing. And, I was like, "Okay, let's look at snakes then." And little did we know it was the NARBC Arlington show. And we walked around there for a long time, and I finally went to Bob Vu's table, and I seen a snake I liked, and she was a good price, and I'm like, "Hey, let's get this snake." And they're like potato chips. One turned to 2, turned to 3, turned to 12, 24, and now we're around 100 now with hatchlings and everything.
Okay.
Yeah,
How many? Oh yeah, go ahead.
We do it in our home, so we're going to keep the collection small, and we're going to add a couple more 55-40 racks, and then that's it, because we don't want it to take over our whole life. But what we do have, we want to make good quality snakes. So
that's where I'm kind of figuring out now as I'm getting into this, like trying to nail down what projects I'm doing so I can kind of plan, because I also don't want a ton, but it's hard because if you're doing these multi-recessive projects, you need like the space. So I'm trying to figure out how to link everything together and how it doesn't have to be so cumbersome. Essentially, I think that's really important if you're kind of starting out planning. Okay, how many animals do you want? And that kind of dictates, I feel like, what projects you're going to get into as far as how many you're going to do and how many recessive are going to work. So with 100, how many breeder females is that, or how many clutches is that? About a year.
So we moved a couple years ago, and then we were just growing them up at that point. Well, then last year we had to move rooms with the female, like all the snakes into a bigger room. Well, they all absorbed. Every one of them. So this year we've only had 4 clutches so far, but I really do think we're going to have more. We bred 18 and it's just like, looking in there this week, it's like every one of these females were making a huge nest in the back. And I'm like, whoa, we're fixing to get hit. So I'm kind of expecting that to happen. So the projects I'm really into is the cypress. Love cypress combos. Hurricanes.
Yes.
I am into the redhead project. I bought so at the Daytona show, I bought a redhead Batman from Bob Vu.
Oh, nice.
And that's our second redhead we have in our collection. So we have Mandarin, Ultramil. I mean, there's so many different projects I have, but I'm just going to be working them together. And it's just super exciting. I love doing that. And like, I love Hurricane by itself.
Yes, it is. That's becoming one of my favorites. I just picked up a female OD Hurricane Clown, 66% het pied. So she actually just shed. So I'm going to test her and hope. And then Hurricane Clown Boy, I'll work into the rotation. I really like it in pied stuff, what it does to like the saddles. So I'll probably work that into my Hurricane Clown pied stuff. But I love that gene and the super. There's just so much to do with it too.
Right. So that's what I plan on doing supers and then putting the cypress into it, the Mandarin into it, and white lace into it. So, that'll take like 15 years, right? But hey.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's how you have to think in this like game. If you're only thinking like 1 or 2 chess moves, then you're already kind of, it's not, I guess it's not, I don't know. I feel like that's not the way to kind of look at it. I feel like you have to look at it several steps ahead in order to kind of stay ahead and kind of be relevant, or so to speak, or produce I would say relevant combos. But yeah, I like the lace stuff too. Love that in the clown pied, again, what it does. So it'll take me a while, but work that into it too.
I picked up my lace clown male from Phil with finger snakes, and he is a beautiful, beautiful boy. The top of his head looks like a cinnamon roll. Like, he's awesome. So yeah, I can't wait to get him bigger and breeding. And then I bought a pastel stranger het clown from Yeti Morphs. So I love stranger, and that's another one that's going to be going into the Hurricane project as well.
That would be cool. It's on my list to get. It's the stranger is at some point in time, but the pastel stranger, that looks really nice. Everybody hates on pastel, but in some combos it just works, and that is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are really good projects too. And with the lace, I have a lace clown female and I have a white lace boy, and it's interesting seeing them grow. The female's at like 1,000, I would say, grams, and the boys maybe at 600 or so. But they get brighter, like with every shed as they get older. Like I just open, I'm like, wow, this animal like looks amazing, way better than, you know what I mean? It's just like they look brighter with every shed. I mean, she's at 1,000 grams. She looks really, really good still. So it's a fantastic gene, I think, to put into everything.
Yeah, it really is. And I got a Graziandi pastel clown pied from Lone Star Reptiles Earl, and as far as pastel goes, that is the prettiest one in my opinion. It's the older line, and it doesn't wash out the heads. I mean, she just has a beautiful head pattern, and I like pastel, but not in clown. But man, it really works in that clown pied. So
interesting. And you said, what was the Grazia? Is that the line of it? The Graziandi? Oh, okay. Yep. Interesting. I've not heard of that before, so I'll have to kind of look that up. Yeah, definitely it's crazy how things have the same gene, but they phenotypically look different. So I think it's really important to try to find those individuals that represent that morph well, like higher, I don't know if say quality, because I think they're all healthy animals, but
Right.
quality in that standpoint where they just look same gene, but look, a little bit different. I've seen that with Hurricane. I feel like you see that.
Yes.
I feel like you got to be real, I don't say careful, but there's definitely variations in how they look. So,
Absolutely. It took me 2 years to find the perfect Hurricanes for me. So that's why I'm just like, oh, you hold out, you research, you look. You know who Hans is, I guess. He's over,
yep.
I believe, in Europe. Okay.
Mhm.
His stuff is amazing. I just love looking at, I could get on his pages and look at that stuff all day long.
Mhm.
So these are descendants,
Okay.
very close descendants. So, oh yeah, when I got them, when I seen it, and those I picked up in Pomona. Sammy, bull pythons, and I are in that project together.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I see a lot of photos of you guys together. I think I met him
yeah,
at Daytona too. Yeah, I see him a lot in the chats on the different podcasts and stuff. So,
yeah,
really nice
yeah.
guy.
He's
But
my
yeah,
buddy.
that's awesome. It's really amazing the people you meet in this hobby and how they become like really close friends.
Absolutely.
Like I tell my parents on, oh, I went hiking with, this person. They're like, who's that? Like, how'd you do that? You know what I mean? Like they're just like reptile people, like who are, but it's amazing
Right.
the lifelong friends that you can make.
Yeah, I talk to Sammy almost every day. When I do go to the big shows, we go together. We
Okay.
have Great Danes at home, and I can't, my husband takes care of the dogs and the critters while
Mhm.
I'm out doing these shows and stuff. So it just really works out. And like when Sammy's been here, he was here in the spring for the Dallas show, and him and his friends stayed here because we're about an hour and a half away from the show. So,
Okay.
I mean, saves on a hotel room, right? Hey, Vinny. Hey, Bobby. Just wanted to say hi real quick. Right
Oh,
there, Ebony and Ivory. That's who I picked my hurricanes up from.
okay.
In Pomona. Yep.
Awesome. Ebony and Ivory.
Mhm.
Reptile. I love that.
Yes.
I love that jingle on Mike's podcast. I love hearing that
Yep.
every time. Yeah, that's a really cool name too. My boyfriend's African American, so I feel like we kind of fit that
You
bill
fit the
too.
bill. Heck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I really think that name's cool. So yeah, I got his hurricane. He is in the paint stuff too. That's another just kind of getting into it, but another project I'm pretty excited about. I'm not totally sure which direction I'm gonna take it in quite yet, but working kind of slow because there's so much to be done with it still.
I would love to paint. I want Scrambler. Oh,
Scrambler, yeah. So
there's
much.
so many things I still want, and I'm like, I don't have the rack space.
Rack space and like money sometimes too. So I gotta like pace
Yeah.
myself. I'm in this been in it 1 year since July. So it's kind of like, okay, you don't have to get everything in a year. You can take a couple years, slowly build up. That's what I had to tell myself.
So does your
Otherwise,
boyfriend like the snakes?
he does like them. He like didn't wasn't really around them when we met. But he kind of held them and thought they were really cool. He goes with me to the shows if he can, helps me vend. He loves vending with me. Doesn't know a whole lot about the genetics, but I can't blame him. I listen to this stuff all day, every day. So it's like a second language. To him, it's kind of a foreign language, essentially, still. But he loves Wookiee. So he bought his own Wookiee red striped clown girl that I'm gonna let him within reason breed and choose who he wants to breed and stuff. But Wookiee everything to him.
Yeah.
He nonstop. I don't know if it's the name. I think it's more the name than anything, but he just loves Wookiee. So I'm just
Oh,
let him.
I really want Wookiee in my collection so bad. And I would love to have Bang too, but that stuff's too expensive for me.
Too expensive. I'm really not sure it's all that different yet. I'd really have to study it in person and see more combos of it made to trust it for me.
So if you'll look up Balls to You,
Okay.
he has it, and I believe he's in Europe too.
Okay.
Amazing stuff. He does really good stuff with it.
Okay. I'll have to look him up too.
Robert,
Yes.
you're not See, okay, Bobby Russell, right here in the chat, that's my husband, and he's been wanting to take out the bathroom. We have a Jack and Jill bathroom, and he's wanting to take it out to make a large room. No. He gives me
that's
grief
funny.
about that all the time.
That's funny. No, you can let it take over your whole house if you want to. I mean, it's all in the basement right now, so I got a decent amount of space, but I'm still in school, so I'm not going to be here forever. So I can't go too crazy because I know I'm going to have to move this stuff in a year and a half or so, and so that's kind of where I'm at with that. So
right, yeah,
can't go super crazy. Yeah, that's funny. Oh. Elias tapped in. Yeah, everybody's tapping in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hey, Elias, how are you doing?
Yeah,
there's some people in here I haven't even seen before. That's cool.
Yeah, Nature for You. He's been, or they. I don't know who is controlling it behind, but they've been kind of a new one. Asks really good questions. So I always appreciate that. So yeah, talk about that. Where you're kind of out with your projects and the snakes. What kind of inspired you to start a podcast? A reptile
Oh, I knew this question was coming.
I mean, hey, you had to ask.
So I had a friend who is a podcaster, a big podcaster, and had a friend that was a podcaster, and he really pushed me to start one and talked me into it. So I mean, I was like, okay, let's see how it goes, because I'm like, I'm pretty shut in, and I have issues with opening up and stuff like that. So, hey, Chris, glad to see you're here. And so I started, and I was like, okay, this is going okay. And I just had more and more people coming on and meeting new people and talking and learning. And I was like, this is pretty good. I like this. So I have 2 now. I do a show on Wednesdays. It's not another reptile podcast, and one on Saturdays. It's just the Reptile Lounge. And I let people come in if they want to come on, just a group of people talking, I think I enjoy that one a little better sometimes, because you do have multiple people. But then on the Wednesday show, you know who Tyler is from Tyler's Toxic Balls?
Yes, I met him very briefly in Daytona, but yes, he seems super nice. Super nice kid.
So he's my co-host.
Oh,
and cool. I like to interview the big people, the small people, the people starting out. I like to interview anybody. I like to talk reptiles, and I really think you can learn a lot just by listening. So but yeah, other than that, I mean, it's okay. It's very time consuming. I try to do all my work myself, all the thumbnails and everything from A to Z I do. So
it's definitely a lot of work that I've learned myself. And I am pretty introverted, I feel like, in my, day-to-day life. So it's taking a little bit to get out of my comfort zone and shell a little bit. I get really nervous before the show. Probably like an hour beforehand, I'll start getting a little nervous in my stomach. But once I talk a little backstage, then it just kind of goes away. And maybe over time that will go away. I don't know, but
it will. I mean, it was like up to 30 episodes. I was a nervous wreck every time I would go on. And now it's just like, all right, let's do this. Let's get it. I look forward to the guests coming on, and a lot of them I've never talked to before. So
okay. How do you find them, or how do you just kind of see them somewhere else and reach out and be like, hey, or how's it work?
Yeah. I see them in chats on other ones and meet them at shows. I really do like going to shows and passing out my business cards to new people and asking them to come on. Most of the time they say no, because they're terrified. Yes. Yeah. So it's hard to get first timers to come on. But anybody that's been on a podcast before, they're pretty open to it.
Kind of break the ice a little bit.
Yeah. And then I have people reaching out wanting to be on too. So it's a 50-50.
Okay. Yeah, I can see where it's hard. But I think it's so important to put yourself out there in this business or however you're doing it to meet other people and networking. It's, to me, it's the biggest, I want to say factor of success maybe, but I think it's really, really important to get
It is.
yourself out there so that people know who you are, know what you're in, especially if you're trying to sell stuff, you know, people, at least in the groups I'm in, kind of want to buy from each other. So that it just
Mhm.
helps meeting people, new friends. I don't know. I don't see a downside to it, but there is some of that putting yourself out there.
Oh yeah, there's always negativity. You know, stuff's going to happen. People are going to hate, and that's fine too. You just can't take the hate to heart. You know, a lot of it's just like, okay, you need to move on.
Yeah. Yeah. I've definitely seen a lot of that too. Very like cliquish. And for me,
Yes.
I have my own little groups I mesh with a lot better, but I still want to be kind to everybody, respectful to everybody. And that type of thing I think is really important too. Cause there's a lot of like back talking and talking bad about people behind their back. And it just makes me
Yes.
feel bad. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it. Don't tell me about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially if it's like
Absolutely. Thank you, Vinny. I appreciate that.
Benny's in here too.
Yes.
Oh, awesome. I have to go back and see that episode too. Oh, Nature for
Yeah,
You.
he's a
Yeah.
cool guy. Vinny's he's a ZZ Top.
Do you use Squadcast or another recording provider?
I use StreamYard.
That's what I'm using. That's what I'm using too, is StreamYard. MJ does a really good job of like setting everything up for me as far as like clicking through. It takes a little bit to click through. I know as I say that, I forgot to put the banner on, but clicking through and like I do that every time. Trying to find out the overlays. It takes a little bit of setting it up and getting used to it.
Right.
I think, but once you have to spend time getting used to it. After that, I think it's fine.
Will.
I don't know. I feel like you can only have so many people on though if you're doing a multi-person. I could see that being a downside of
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah, it is. And you know, I've talked to Will before. He was going to do a podcast, and I wanted to learn the one he was using, and I just stuff happens. I got used to StreamYard, and it's just like, yeah, StreamYard.
yeah, he said StreamYard we found was okay, but difficult for the transcript side of things afterwards. That I don't know too much about that yet. I don't know. I don't know about the uploading part of it or anything like that. So,
Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult to do that than it is to go live, but I mean, it's okay. I'm writing that down right now, Will.
OBS and Streamline. I don't know what. Never heard of those either. So
I don't know if you know who MORPH is, but I love the way their podcasts look when they pop stuff up. It's really neat and clean.
I think I've listened to a few of theirs. You probably find this funny, but there's one guy on there that has a really soothing voice that I like. So I listened to it on a long drive or something with the rain, and I was like, huh. I was like, I don't know who it was, but I just liked their voice. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, Reptiles and Oddities. Hey,
yeah. Thank you, Chris.
You have a lot of support here, so that means you're doing something right, obviously.
I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody.
Yeah. So, like with podcasting, what do you think's been the most like rewarding part of it?
The people.
Yeah.
The people you get to meet, and people, you know, they kind of tell if you're going through a hard time without you having to say anything. And just like, hey, want to check up on you, and you know they care. And I love to do good things. You know, I've had a couple of families that's lost a loved one, and I've done fundraisers on the show and auctions to help raise money for that family and stuff like that. And I always like for people to reach out if they're having issues, you know, and need help.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
Mm-hmm.
seen whiskers on the camera. That was so cute.
Yeah, they are bad today. They are never like this, but for whatever reason today, I think they know because I'm not like feeling 100%. Maybe that's why, but they're usually never in this room when I'm doing this. So don't mind me watching the cat in the background. I'm glad
That's
it's ringing some, trying to keep it on track. But yeah, I agree with the people. I've only I'm only 11 episodes in, but I've already learned so much. I really try to have also people from all different species, new people who have been doing it. Learned a lot about like green tree pythons. We had chameleons on last week, so just learning all the different species and how that breeding goes and raising them is really, really fascinating to me.
yeah.
Somebody at Mike, is she from down south?
Yeah, I'm from Texas.
Yeah, I can definitely tell. Oh, well.
No, I didn't get another haircut, Will. I've just been letting it grow out.
That's funny. Mine grows.
But I appreciate it in the 20s, man. If I can just get down to like teens, I'd be doing all right.
Yep. Mike's from Kentucky. Okay, cool. Yeah, I like the southern accent too. What's been like the biggest challenge you've faced when starting it and maybe where you're at now?
The people. Is that not weird? So yeah, there's been some people that's been really negative, and that's kind of funny that they can be the good and the bad, right? But it's true. You know, you get those people who are high and mighty and talk smack about you, and you're just like, yeah, okay. You know, I had to learn to live with it, and people saying, "Oh, we're your friend, we're this, we're that, da 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 da," for such a long time, and then they just up and quit on you, and you're just like, "Okay, thanks." So, but you get over it and you move on, you know. And hey, Wiz.
Yeah, Wiz is awesome too. His group, and they do a really, really good job with his show and being with Keys. And it's hard for me to catch them all though. I have to like replay and I listen to it at work. There's a lot out there. Do you think there are too many, or can there ever be too many? Or what's your thoughts on like the amount of them? And because I've seen people have like a little bit of negative, like, you know what I mean? Like, another podcast, you know what I mean? And kind of like roll the eyes. But I just want to hear from you too. What you think?
So that's where I got my name, Not Another Reptile Podcast. It's like, oh, not another reptile podcast. But I think there's a room for everybody. You know, people just need to chill, watch them. If you don't like them, turn it. You don't have to sit there and talk shit about somebody, you know, just turn the channel. I'm not forcing you to listen. So
yeah, that's my kind of thought too. Like if you if you don't like it, don't listen. There's plenty of them out there to listen. Find your own lane, find who you work best and listen to them. You know, you're not forced to listen to all of them. So I don't get the whole negativity of it either, really.
Yeah. I used to watch them like constantly, and I got to where it's just like, okay, need to calm down, quit watching so much stuff, you know, try to watch out for the guest and, you know, just pick and choose, but then you got to make time for your family too, you know.
Right. And yep. That's exactly it too. Yeah. My boyfriend, he's pretty good at listening to them, but sometimes he's like, "Can we watch a movie?" I'm like, yeah, we can watch a movie. So
you're like, do we have to?
I know my husband's like, man, I really wanted to listen to this, but I was like, tomorrow can work too. So that's fine. Who's been like your most memorable guest and why?
Oh my goodness. I've had so many.
Probably
yeah. I couldn't tell you. There's been so many. Like, I love the new people. I don't think I've had a guest on really that I haven't liked. Now, there's a couple guests that are hard to get them to talk. And you feel like you're having to drag out a conversation. Now, that's hard.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. There's some where it's not that the conversation doesn't flow well, but their response is like straight and to the point, and it's so much faster than what I was expecting. I was like, okay, let me see how I can respond or ask another question. So yeah, it's challenging for sure.
I hate that the yeses and nos, and you're just like, okay, can you expand on that?
Yes. What was I had one that Channing from Reptico she's very young. She's 14. So kind of going into that, I was, unsure of how it was gonna go. I prepped for a lot of questions in case she was, of course, shy coming into this. I knew maybe she wasn't going to expand very much on the question, but she did absolutely amazing. The conversation flowed wonderful. For being 14, she just did fantastic job. And yeah, a lot of people liked that episode, but just kind of shows you don't really know what's going to happen until the show.
Right. Well, I was looking for a new co-host, and I just do better with somebody else there for some reason. And Tyler, he just really stood out to me. He's young, he's smart, he's super knowledgeable on the ball pythons. Well, everything he does, he's knowledgeable on. And, when I asked him, hey, would you be my co-host? He's like, yeah, let me talk to my dad and, my family and see what they think. And then he was just like, sure, I'll do it. And I was so happy because me being so new to the hobby versus him, he started when he was super young. Like super young. So now he's in college, and he's just, man, he's got so much knowledge. I just love it. And I can show him a snake and be like, what do you think? And he'll bam, 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 tell me what he thinks the genetics are. And I'm just like, dude, you're so smart.
That's cool. Some people have that, I don't know if it's a gift, but like kind of, I would say it's a gift. Yeah, maybe. Or just kind of can catch on to things a little quicker sometimes. Right. Like they don't need as much repetition. They kind of have that, I don't say photographic memory, but that kind of just they can learn stuff quick. So that's pretty cool and awesome that found him as a co-host. I know in the plan eventually I would like to have podcasts with like multiple people on there too. Planning on a few. I'm gonna reach out for I think Jen, Kate from Cigar City Exotics and her mom, and they'll come on and do one together. Because the mom's she kind of started the reptile thing too. So I think that would be super, super good and exciting. But yeah, I think having multiple people on is cool too. Yeah.
Yeah. It helps with the flow. And like I said, you're learning new stuff every episode. I love seeing how, like on last night's show, we got to talking about vermiculite, we'll use Orbeez and, stuff like that. And just, some people do straight water and just what works for everybody, and I think it's really interesting.
There's always something new to learn, it seems like. And I think it's because there's not one way to do things. I think people knowing that is important too. Like you don't just have to follow one way. And it's a lot when people are doing it so many different ways, but find what works for you and kind of run with it. But it's really, really fascinating and interesting to find people doing it multiple ways. The Orbeez is really cool. I'm kind of looking more into that. I liked playing with them as a kid, but doing eggs with them I think would be cool.
So what he does is he uses a sponge. I think it's like the car sponges. They're pretty big. They're cheap. So he puts that down and then puts the Orbeez around it.
Okay.
And then your tray or whatever. So you're not using as many Orbeez. You're still holding a lot of moisture in there, and he swears by it. So
that's fascinating to look into, because it's probably like a decent upfront cost. Wow, no, I haven't even looked at the cost, but it's probably a little bit of a cost, obviously, from the Orbeez. Can you reuse them, or once they're kind of incubated, they're done?
Yeah, they're done.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, that'd be something I've done, just vermiculite perlite, and yeah, it seemed to work fairly well so far. I don't really have like a rhyme or reason. I just kind of add enough to make it look pretty moist, and then just kind of monitor the first couple weeks and see how things go and make sure there's condensation. And
we got a couple comments that say you can reuse them.
Oh, really? Okay. yet you can really use them. Okay. Depends on the genus. Some incubation methods are better for. Yeah, that's true too. It obviously depends on what species you're doing.
Yeah.
The leopard geckos and ball pythons, I incubate them on the perlite, the same thing. But yeah, I'll have to go back and listen to the Orbeez talk because it sounds like it'd be pretty interesting. Oh, this one too.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So
That's
yeah,
another gem right there.
these podcasts are so like, if you're not listening to them, listen to them because you learn a lot of stuff you learn so much stuff on them.
Mhm.
And that's how I learned most of mine. I mean, YouTube too, but mainly podcasts and just listening to people come on, share their experiences. And yeah, I find it really, really needed to learn quickly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I haven't even heard of that. The betadine in the water.
Yeah, it makes sense though. Yeah,
It does.
Yeah.
Vinny, do you know how much?
Yeah.
Oh, he put a few drops. Okay.
Oh, a few drops. Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, Lucid. Leopard Gecko projects. I remember what we talked about. Yeah, they're going pretty well. This is my second season. I've sold, I don't know, probably half of them, 2/3 of them. And I feel like I just put them up like in maybe May or June-ish. So I haven't, tried to sell them too much. So they're doing pretty well. Sold some at shows, some mostly online, but they seem to be doing pretty well. I'm adding a few more projects this year going forward. I mainly do like the orange ones, which is like great, but I kind of want to add a little more like albino in there and some of the super snow, like the black and white one, just to get a little bit of a variety. Still keep the numbers the same because they reproduce like crazy and I don't want a ton of them. But odd, crazy, no crazy ones yet. I think next year I'll have some cool stuff once I get these new projects in. But yeah, I'll need to have a Leopard Gecko podcast person come on to talk about that. As far as the podcasting too, what's like your typical setup like? What equipment or anything special you have or?
I use the Getty Blue microphone. I don't even know. I can't even see the camera brand right now because I'm blind as a bat. I think it's Logitech. It's a nice little camera. I mean, nothing too extravagant. This is my setup all the time. I kind of keep it a little gothic looking, and I got snakes and all kinds of crazy stuff back there. But
yeah,
being a girl, I always want to move my room around, and there's 3 desks in here actually.
Oh wow. Okay, so pretty decent sized room.
Yeah. So. But I would love to get a banner to hang up back here, something with my logo, and I had stickers up there before on a plexiglass, but it would reflect the light of the ring light and stuff you could see. So I had to take it off. And
I see.
I'm trying to figure it out.
I see. I would love to get a sign too. Or I've seen newer people have like, I don't know how you say it, but it's like an LED kind of light. Kind of retro. I don't know the exact name of it, but it kind of like hangs on the wall and it's kind of got your logo kind of out on it. LED light. It's, I don't know, cool. It probably has a specific name I can't think of, but I think that would be really cool to have in the background too.
Yeah.
Trying to figure that out.
Like my candles back there, they're electric.
Oh,
so I got
they're electric.
Yeah.
That's
battery.
Neat. Yeah, that's really cool. It creates kind of a cool vibe. It kind of represents you too. I think that, which is cool. Podcasting I've seen on different ones that they have their own little like flair to it. So yeah, I'm trying to figure that out too for myself. I'm mainly just in a extra bedroom where I have a desk and it's a cat room, so that's why you've seen them pop in and out. So it is their room, but I'm trying to figure out how to put more flair on it.
Right.
In the future. Yeah. Yeah, the setup for me is pretty not too bad. This is a Rodecaster mic, I think. And I got my Focusrite equipment that the mic hooks up to, and that hooks up to my computer. That's what I'm using my computer for the camera, my MacBook, which has worked pretty well for the most part. And then I just, for the lighting, just have the lights off, and I have a ring light that's right there that will make the light better than before. I think my first couple episodes I had like just my normal light, and MJ's like, that's too yellow. Too yellow. You gotta get ring light. I mean, he didn't say it like that, but you know what I mean? I was like, okay, yep, I'll get the ring light. He's like, yeah, much better. So it takes some time to find the lighting. And
yeah, so it did for me too as well. I have multiple lights through here. I have one I can change colors and reflect off the wall back here. I have a 22-inch ring light, which I keep on the lowest setting, but it's the best ring light. Amazon, I swear by that.
That's where I got mine from. I wonder if it's, what is mine says UB size. I don't know if you have the same one. I don't know, but Amazon for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I got all of my stuff off of.
Yep.
And then I have I don't even know what size this computer screen is, but also since I do logos and stuff like that, I have a TV. I use as a computer screen so I can see stuff better. You know, I'm old, so.
Okay, that's really cool too. Seeing it on the TV screen. Oh,
yeah.
Amanda, a neon sign. Yes, thank you. That's what I would like to add with my logo or something on it. And then what material would you want your banner in?
Any, man, as long as it's big enough to cover up a big wall. I know the cat has zoomies. I love it.
I know. It's like, I don't know. He's like literally, you can't see the wall. He was hanging from that vent, just hanging down on the vent. Oh my gosh, they're not this crazy usually. I can maybe exit them out. They're not this crazy. I don't know what's wrong with them. I think they, like I said, they know when I've not been feeling better, and they're more around me. So I'm giving you guys some entertainment tonight then with the cats.
Wait till you have kids.
Oh, I don't even want to think about that right now. I gotta get done with school.
Right.
A few more years, and hopefully, yeah, because I gotta get that done. Otherwise, I mean, some of my colleagues have had kids during their studies, but I see them and I'm just like, I gotta be done first. Do you have any kids?
3.
Yep. 3 kids. Okay. They are they in the reptiles too, or what ages are they?
Well, I have one. She's retired, medically retired Air Force.
Oh wow!
And then my other one, no, they don't really do reptiles. The one in the retired Air Force, she's in North Carolina. She's wanting me to bring her a snake.
Okay, so maybe she'll get into it.
Yeah. So she had a snake before, and then got out of them when she went into service, and then. You know, her husband really doesn't like them, but he finally agreed to let her have one once they moved back. She's like, Mom, bring me one.
They're easy. Yeah. Hopefully the husband will continue to allow her to do that. So yeah, that's awesome that she's in the Air Force, and thank her for her service and supporting her, because can't imagine that as a parent. It's a lot. My sister is in the Coast Guard Academy, so a little bit easier because it's more homeland, but you know, still seeing her kind of go through that. My boyfriend's in the Marines, so he more of a reservist, but him training, it's a lot of sacrifice that they make, especially the ones that are in active duty and go overseas. So
she was actually stationed in England, and
oh wow,
to get deployed they had to pull her wisdom teeth. Well, they broke both sides of her jaw, bottom.
Really?
And then she got tinnitus in her ears. I think that's what it's called. And hearing loss and everything. So they had to medically retire her. But her husband's still in the service. So,
okay.
Yeah. Once they get stationed, hopefully down in Texas, you know. But they'll be in North Carolina for a while.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Wow. That's crazy that happened. And yeah, they're real strict on the medical, and you know, if you have anything in your prior history. A lot of my family on my dad's side's in the Air Force too. My uncle was like a JAG officer and did lawyer stuff. He's out here. I think he's retired now, but definitely a lot of moving a lot. They moved all over the world. Greece, they lived in, I remember, Alaska, Louisiana. But I think Greece was overseas they lived, but yeah, so really commend people who do that and sacrifice for that. So
yeah, it was hard, like being a mom and she's the baby.
okay.
And being in England when that happened and not being able to be there for her, it was during COVID. So couldn't fly over there. I had bought my ticket, got my, passport and all this stuff. And 2 weeks before I was to fly to England, they shut down the airports. So,
oh man.
Yeah. So that was hard not to be able to be there for her.
Yeah, I can imagine. And it's amazing that's been what now, 4 or 5 years, coming up on almost 6 years in 2019. Yeah, how it's kind of been a decent amount of time, but I feel like it was just yesterday. And I don't know, it just felt like the world just kind of changed overnight, just like that. When everything shut down, it's not been quite the same since in a lot of areas. So it's
Walmart makes me crazy. I'm like, y'all need to open back up 24/7.
Yes, oh my boyfriend and I just talked about that the other day. Like literally yesterday. He was like, man, I miss Walmart was 24/7. We're like, when did that change? He's like, COVID. And I was like, oh yeah. Yeah. We literally just talked about that.
I want to go in at night when it's nice and cool outside. Everybody's in bed sleeping, so I can get in there and just be more peaceful. I don't care. I will walk around all their stuff they're trying to stock. Just let me in there.
Yeah. I think ours here closes at like 10 or 11 maybe. Yeah. I don't even know. I don't go super late just so I don't run into it being closed. But yeah, that I remember as a kid. Going there late and hanging out with friends. It was a fun thing to do, but not again and may not ever happen. So
yeah, they say they save money doing it that way.
Yeah, that's probably why a lot of things haven't changed. They kind of realized how to save money from COVID and then just kind of kept like that. So yeah.
I thought it was funny because they're like, oh, we're sanitizing, we're doing this, we're doing that. No, ain't nobody there. Ain't nobody there.
Ain't nobody care now. Shoot.
But it's funny.
But kind of brings in, let's talk about family a little bit because it kind of brought in my next question. Like, how do you kind of balance your time between both podcasting, not only with your caring for reptiles, but your family too?
Mm-hmm. So with my kids, neither one of them live locally. My sister, she lives locally. The rest of my family live down in Texas. My husband's family is just like all over the United States, California, here and there. So really it's just him and I, and he works crazy hours. I'm here, I've had some health stuff happening. So he's really pulled a lot of weight here lately, taking care of everything. And it's getting a little bit more back to normal now, but I try to stay at home. I'm a homebody. I don't even like to go shopping anymore. I'm such a hermit. So it does make it easier in that sense with kids being grown. I know people that they still have, like my friend Jamie, a Graceful Python. She has kids at home, and I'm just like, girl, you got a big S. I tell her all the time, you're wearing a big S on your chest there because that's a lot of kids. I don't know
how she does it. Yeah, that's something I'm like kind of keep in the back of my mind too, because I would like kids when I'm done with school, not too many, but it's in the back of my mind planning, okay, how am I gonna figure out that? I also have my career. I've been in school forever now. I don't want to give all that up. I'm not saying kids aren't worth it, but if I went to school my whole life, I kind of want to use the degrees I went to school for. So it's kind of like a hard situation. Of course, I've been putting it off too, right? Because of school, and I want to, have kids eventually. So yeah, and do the reptiles and all of that. So yeah, it's been in the back of my mind.
Well, you're smart for waiting to have kids until you're done with school.
Yeah, thank you.
So
Yeah.
So I think
Sure.
afterwards, when you do get your career started, it won't be an issue. It'll just flow after that. But like going to school and having kids, I don't see how people do it.
Yeah, I have no idea. I can kind of see if you're doing it at your own pace, but like I went to
Mhm.
vet school for 4 years, absolutely no time for kids there, and now in a PhD, it's a little bit more if I set my own schedule, but still like it's got to get done, otherwise you can't graduate, and the PhD is so fluid that you can take up time and never graduate, and I don't want to be
Yeah,
that situation. I
right.
want to be done in the next couple years and be done with school finally. So, but I think it's a big thing to think about when you're in this hobby, how to balance it all. You need your support system in there, but you also got to take care of the reptiles too. So, yeah, trying to figure out how much you can handle.
Yeah. And
It's
right
important.
now I'm looking for a job, and that is kind of stressful with thinking about the future of everything. And a lot of people do it. They work full-time jobs and or even
Mhm.
more. I mean, massive overtime, and go home and have to deal with all these animals. That's why I'm like,
Yep.
we're going to have to keep our collection pretty tight, you know,
Yep.
really work the stuff we really, really want to have and or really want to see, like, so that this next couple of years, there's a few, like maybe 5 snakes that I have that aren't visual that I'll be putting stuff to make visuals.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I'll just go from there, get
Mhm.
rid of the other stuff, clean out that collection. Everybody needs to clean up their collection, right?
Yes. Yeah. I think recently, I mean, I've only been for a year, but I was on one podcast where they went through my whole collection and was like recommended where they would cut stuff and chop stuff.
Mhm.
It was with Billy at Mutation Creation, his like upper tier Patreon level. They
Right.
do that, and they did like I don't know a contest for a lower level to do it. And it was just eye-opening to see how people think and difference. A lot of people found it really helpful, so I'm glad that they found that helpful. But yeah, important to kind of go back, and it's hard because you build connection with these animals. You don't want to sell them, but I think to keep stuff manageable, you have to. And it's so hard though joining it. You see all this pretty stuff that comes up, and you're like, man, I want that. But you have to tell yourself no.
Yeah.
You otherwise you just have too many. And I know I'm speaking of all my friends are probably like, Krista, you buy a lot. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Trying to slow down on it though, but and be really picky when I'm adding more stuff. I'm trying to finish up the investment part and just kind of go from there.
Yeah.
Um,
So I kind of told myself last year, because we were just buying and buying and buying.
mhm,
And I was like, okay, we kind of need to set a number, if I'm going to buy maybe 5 a year, but they're going to be good.
mhm.
And then when you're producing, save a couple out of each clutch that, if they're keepable or keepable or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So um, we hatched my second clutch this year was the Cypress clutch. And I think Feely said that she's Cypress Mojave Fire Clown,
Hmm.
I believe is what, or Spot Nose too. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Cypress.
okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, she's a gorgeous snake.
I bet.
And
Yeah.
so she's a holdback. And there was another one that's just like I'll probably end up selling her. I think she was like Spot Nose Fire Clown, I'm like,
Mhm.
well, I could use her in the future, but like, I want to keep the really, really good stuff.
Yeah. I think doing pairings like that you wanna keep something back and not just doing pairings
Yes.
just to, like, sell is, like, a huge thing too that I'm trying to look as I move forward. This year was my first year, and I kinda just made stuff to sell, especially because 'cause I've kinda changed so much in the last year of what I wanted to do. Like, I buy animals they're pretty animals, but they don't really fit into now what I wanted to do. So it's kind of
Mhm.
going forward, trying not to do that. And yeah, holding back only what you need, but it's hard still when you're doing these multi-recessives. How many do you really need to hold back? And that's what I've been trying to ask people and like figure out. And of course, there's no like set answer, but
Yeah.
trying to think. Justin, at Canova said that he likes to keep it at like a, what was it? I can't remember now. Like a 1 in 16 kind of odd if you're trying to hit something you want. So I'm like, okay, that kind of at least gives me like a number to kind of go off of and how many I want for that project. I mean, of course he has hundreds of clutches, so I should maybe be a little bit less on the odds, but at least it gives me kind of a starting
Yeah.
standpoint.
Yeah, I do believe you could have too much in there and muddy them up, and it gets to where you can't even tell what's in the snake. But hey, that's what shed testing's for, you know?
Yes. Yeah. The shed testing, have you used that a lot for yours? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I love shed testing. Gray Rider Reptiles. Charlie is one of my sponsors. He's amazing. I think we've had around 20 done. I've gotten some really good news, and I got some news that just kicked me in between the legs. So, but
yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, yep. And our RGI sponsors our channels. I have to say, shout out to them. But good companies either way. And yeah, I think it's you have to. I don't say you have to use it, but you have to use it. I mean, if it's there to use, everybody's going to be using it. I think selling the POS hets is kind of going to go away now with testing, and buyers only really wanting to buy, proven stuff.
Right.
Which, yes, as breeders, it makes us be like, oh yeah, we can just test this and kind of make pairings that in my mind don't make total sense. But I don't think people realize starting out too how much it costs a test, and it adds up. So if you're having all these clutches and having to test, knowing that you can do it, that bit, is it worth testing at that point, the value of the animal, because it adds up. It could be expensive.
Yep. Well, that's, I've heard people talk about, hey, yes, these are POS hets. If you want me to test it, they would charge it to their customer. And I'm like, there's got to be a point to where test what you have in your collection, make better choices, get your visuals. But at the end of the day, I mean, we're all going to do it. We're going to be like, oh, this would be cool if I could create this, but it's going to be POS hets, So it's just kind of all over the map. It's up to the breeder to, work
do what they want to do. Yeah. Yeah. For me, I'm trying to use it if possible, but avoid it if I can with the pairings and make sure I have visuals. And if I have to test for one thing, try not to test for multiple things unless it's a project that's so new. Like I'm doing Ultramel Sunset eventually into hypo. So I know initially I'm going to have to test because I can't buy it. I'm going to have to make stuff. Or, it's too expensive to just buy. So for those type of projects, I think testing, you have to do it. But yeah, for me, try to do pairings that I don't have to test everything with. And it might take me slower, and that's okay with me. That's okay with me. Try to keep them in the chat. Any sort of questions? Yeah, it's hard not to keep all the babies when you hatch them for sure.
Right.
Nature for you. Yeah, my advice, go 50% what you think you can manage easily. So when you breed, you have the juice in the tank. Yeah. But I think 50% of what you think, that's hard to gauge, maybe. I always, sometimes with like eating, sometimes too, my eyes like a lot bigger than my stomach still. So I put a lot of stuff on my plate thinking I can eat it, but I can't. So
yeah,
it's kind of that same way. Oh, Mike has a question too. What type of acrylic display we should use at the shows? I don't know. I'm so new to using. What did I get? I think I ordered in Next Level. Yeah, this should be coming next week. Then I'm gonna try for the displays and for my geckos. Is that what you have?
No, that's what I want to get though. Did you get the 4?
Did I get the 4? Yeah, the 4-level one.
Well, so you have your main one that has the electric and all that, and then everything else plugs into it. So there's they have a set of, or you can buy them in a 4 set.
Oh no, I just got the 1 for now. I kind of went pretty basic on it as I'm kind of getting into it. I like those think they're called 5 lights, but lights I can get off Amazon that are really nice, really bright. So I have one of those for the geckos, and I'll buy another one for the next level. So I kind of went with just the set of whatever number you have, and then the case it comes with, and I'll put my own kind of heat in and lighting in.
Oh, so you didn't get the ones that have the heat and the lights already? Okay.
Nope, I didn't do that. Nope, kind of just seeing how it goes from here. Seeing if I want to do shows a lot before I make that kind of an investment, and just kind of testing the waters at first. And if I think I'm going to do it constantly, then upgrade too. But didn't want to like kind of go all out initially until I knew that I liked it.
I just want to buy once, so I'm going all out.
Okay. Hey, that's fine. That's fine.
But I've been to shows and I've seen people that use them. I love the way they look, the lighting, you know, and I'll do further away shows eventually, but I don't want to go more than like 3 hours away from home. Unless I've got somebody's like, hey, come sit up with me and we can do this together. Because I don't travel well. My husband knows it. I don't like to travel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would rather jump on an airplane, get there quick, and be done with it.
Yep. I'm probably gonna get that. I can drive a little bit, but I'm starting to get to the point where I like flying too. But and yeah, I do mostly local stuff to me, like a couple hours away. It's kind of like them right now, what I'm kind of doing on the weekends in my free time. But going all out, hey, no problem with that. They're nicest place.
Yeah, they are. I just want to buy it once, you know.
That's fair. I kind of look at it as like, I could do that, but I'm like, then there goes a snake. It's like, you know, what do I do at this point? So I can get another snake. Yeah, that's where I'm kind of struggling with too. I need to buy like a 55-40 rack, but I just keep using my money on snakes, so I need to just save it. It's just not as fun, you know, buying the rack. But
I love our ARS racks. Oh
ARS.
Yes,
that's what I'm gonna go with. Once I get one, I'm getting to the point where I kind of need one. I have like a total of 40 animals probably, so probably next year I'm gonna need one as I hold stuff back. But yeah, I don't know. I just found the next level to be for me, and I can kind of customize it. I think the ARS one, I didn't like how you had to buy the separate case with it. It kind of just it kind of turned me off from it. You had to spend like $400 to $500 just for the display, and then another like $200 to $300 for the case. And I was like, nah. I was like, I'll go with the next level. I just didn't like that. I didn't like that part of it.
Yeah, that when I was researching, I thought the same way. Plus, you got to get the stuff to run heat, and then your lights are separate. And that's why I was just like, I'd rather get the next level, you know, all in one. And to set up at shows, it's just so much easier and quicker. So,
I'm super excited. They're supposed to ship mine out. They emailed me today, ship it out this coming week, and it's taken a while. So it's taken probably 6 weeks for them. I think they were on vacation when I initially reached out. I think that's what caused it to be a little bit slow, but I'm getting to the point where I'm like, can you just send it already so I can use it? I want to use it for the shows.
That was a good question. How much does a shed test cost? Yeah, I think they're all different prices.
Yes. I think it depends on where. I haven't done it I'll keep it up there. I haven't done it a whole lot, but I think it's like 50 though, right? And then you can add another one on for 25.
Right.
But I don't know. I haven't tested very much. So.
And I think it depends on who you use too. I mean,
yeah.
So like with the Gray Rider, he doesn't have the multiple to where you can do one shed. What is that called?
Oh yeah, I don't know the special term with it, but I know you're talking. You could buy you could do multiple testing in like one.
Yeah. So RGI does. So but on Husbandry Pro, I don't know. Do you have? Well, you know, you worked Husbandry Pro at the show, so they had Charlie as a panel test. Yeah, thank you, Bobby. Is on Husbandry now for shed testing, and you could go through there, and it's super simple to use to order a test. And I think it's like I think the base is like $50, like you said. And then if you add something on, it's like $25 or whatever. So, it depends.
Mm-hmm. And like, yeah, with RGI, they're also set up through Clutch too. So it's kind of a really simple, efficient way of testing the animals and using that software too. So whichever one you kind of prefer and like. I haven't done a whole lot, but then it's also kind of smart if you know you're going to do a lot, you can buy you can buy them like a ton of them, but at a discounted price or something, like 100 tests for like 35 a test. I'm just saying numbers, but I don't know,
Right.
but something like
Yeah.
that. And also, like I know RGI also has, and I think Charlie too, like discounts at certain like times. So if you kind of like are patient and wait till one of those comes up, you can use the code
Hmm.
to buy a large amount of sheds at one time, if that's making sense.
Yeah.
So I would do it
Hey,
that way.
and with Charlie, you could Ray Rider Reptiles, shedtesting.com, use Texoma 15, and you can get 15% off of 2 tests.
Oh,
And that's
awesome.
it saves money, right?
Yeah, we're all about saving the money. I think over time, shed testing will get cheaper too, as like more people are doing or they're able to maybe automize it. I think it will get
Mhm.
cheaper, which I would look forward to. So make me
Right.
do that.
Absolutely.
So yeah, but $50 in setting 5 is not, it's not too bad.
Right.
In a relative speaking, but it adds up if you have a ton of babies that need shedding, of course. I'm trying to think, see
Hey,
any
Chuck.
other questions. Oh, Chucky, I bet. Great. Okay, cool. Oh, Lucid. Yeah, he's from Sweden, so.
Oh no. Well, hey, I think you could still send it over. I don't
Yeah, I
know
don't know. I
on
think
that.
there is one in Europe, though, right? Pretty sure there is a shed testing in Europe.
Mhm.
There's like Canadian, the 2 here, and I'm pretty sure one in Europe. So Lucid, maybe look into them.
And then there's one in Canada too.
Yeah.
Hey, Nikki.
Hey, Nikki. Nikki has a great show too. I listen here
Mhm.
and there or on repeats or on replay sometimes. But yeah, so good questions, guys. You can keep asking them if you want. Kind of feel like this show's kind of been, I don't say all over the place, but we've covered like random things. But I feel like that's how it goes. I mean, I don't really plan. I just kind of go off the conversation. I have okay, definitely want to talk about podcasting in a broad sense, but where to kind of go
Right.
with it.
Yeah. I like it when it goes natural like this, and it's not just reading questions and simple answers and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot more like fluid and you kind of get it to dive into deeper, um, yeah, deeper topics.
Right.
Trying to think of what else I have with podcasting too. Do you try to engage, like, how do you engage your audience outside the podcast? You like Patreon groups or just like kind of
I
just,
I have a Reptile Lounge
yeah,
Instagram messenger thing. There's quite a few people in there. Uh, I just share my reels and stuff I make. Try to make. Hey, what do y'all want to talk about on the show this week? And
cool.
just keep it real simple. We're all so busy. There's a lot. People doing shows on
Mm-hmm.
weekends, and I just don't want to get on people's nerves. But I am kind of ornery too, so.
It's always fun. That's a good idea too. I kind of want to reach out to listeners too and find out what is beneficial for them because of course I'm doing this to learn to myself, but I feel like I'm doing it more for the people in the community to try to help them learn
Mhm.
and do the best they can with their animals. So yeah, trying to figure out how to best ask people that. But my Instagram is always open for you listeners. If you do have comments or questions, yeah, definitely hit me up.
Right. What's up,
Um,
Chris? There's the other
so
Chris.
Another Chris in here. Oh, okay. Balls deep reptiles. Cool.
Yes, that's my buddy right there.
Uh,
I only
yeah.
work with ball pythons right now. I have one Pac-Man frog, but I think that's all I want to do as far as snakes go, though.
There's so many
I
colors
love
with them.
Yeah, I love playing with the genetics.
Yeah, there's so much out there to do. You can kind of just. I think diversity is. I want to say. I think it's in. Oops, interesting. Put that one. I want to say needed, but I think interesting too. Or like, I think it could help you as a keeper too. Maybe keeping just like one other one, just to kind of learn, of course, and like you with the frog. Uh,
Mhm.
leopard geckos for me, which are kind of similar keeping to the ball pythons as far as temperatures, but um, the genes are like kind of different. It's a lot of polygenic or like line breeding, so I've had to kind of thought about that. Oh, lucid. Any contrast? It's in the works. I haven't officially like paid for one yet, but I've reached out to the breeder and I will be getting one probably in the spring when it's established. So yeah, kind of waiting for them to tell me when they want to deposit, and yeah, I will be getting a chondro. I've had one a while ago, and I really did. I had a Biak, and I really, really liked them. I really like the blue ones, and so the one that I'm getting from this breeder, the mom is like the really, really blue color. So maybe I'll have a good chance of getting that turquoise blue. It's like my favorite color. But as far as breeding, I don't know. Maybe, but they're kind of hard to breed, and I don't want to throw a bunch of money at it, and they just make my heart cry. So
Right.
I'll do one for now. Maybe whatever sex it is, I get the opposite sex in the future and go from there. But yeah, they are kind of a little bit harder. Do you prefer dark tubs or clear for the racks? Pretty good question.
Dark. So with the ARS racks, it has the hose in the top of it, so they do get some light, but I do prefer
Mhm.
to keep it dark for them.
I would say most of mine is clear right now. Yeah, sea serpents is clear. But I find that some of them that I get from other breeders struggle with that. Like I've had some that have taken me some time to get on feed, so I have to add like a hide in there, or they just take a long time to get back on food. So I think it's like be mindful sort of that if you whatever setup you have for adjustment period, because I've noticed that. I don't know if it has anything to do with the tub or just different location in general, but I feel like since mine are clear, then that might be part of the reason.
Yeah, I think whenever you get a new snake, and if they are in a dark and then you do put them in a clear, there is an adjustment period there.
So yeah, I think adding the hide
Yeah.
helps keep them in the dark. Any substrate over others. I don't know. What substrate do you use?
Reptile.
Chip. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I use a little bit of both. COCO to go
That's me
is
too.
one I like. That's the one that's already kind of pre-made. For COCO, that's the only one I can do. I'm allergic to the other ones. I've had Reptile and I've broken it down, and I got like, I don't know, the rest of the day my throat was swelled up, stuffy nose. So that's the only one I can do.
Yeah.
And I like Cypress too. So actually a lot of mine are on Cypress, and I have a stubborn male that prefers the COCO. So he's on the COCO because he won't eat on the Cypress. I switched him over to Cypress. He won't eat, only eats on the COCO. So I'm like, okay, dude, whatever.
Have it your way.
It was so strange. I switched him over, and then he stopped eating. He was like, what the heck is wrong with you? I'm like, oh, you haven't eaten because I changed the substrate. I'm like, okay, it makes no sense. But yeah, I think that a lot of people go with COCO. Cypress is like really cheap. It's like $6 for like a pretty decent bag, and doesn't mold for me like sometimes COCO did previously. And I think it looks pretty nice. It keeps the humidity for me, but
Right.
you have to get the 100% pure cypress. You can't just get any cypress. So that's something you're thinking about. You have to get the 100%. But yeah, Reptile is, I've used it before. It's nice too. I just can't do it with my allergies.
Right.
Trying to see any other questions. But yeah, pretty good questions.
Yeah, there was a lot of Mike. Yeah, some really good questions.
Mike has pretty good ones. Yeah. Do you do anything to like prepare for your episodes at all in specific, or just kind of go with the flow?
Just go with the flow. I want it to be more of a conversation than an interview. I love the flow of them. You know, like when Tom Barnhart come on with Tara from Voodoo Dolls, you know, nobody knew he was coming on with her. It was kind of a surprise. And
Oh, cool.
I had the best compliment from him. It made my heart so happy. After the show, he was like, okay, I got to tell you this. This is the best podcast I've ever been on. You let me come on here. You didn't ask me, hey, how long have you been in the industry and stuff? You just let me talk about my projects now, like he's doing now. And I was like, dude, I love that. Thank you. I think that's the best one I've had so far. So, and Tom Barnhart, shoot, I'll take it.
Yeah, I'd take that. Yeah, he's some really nice stuff for sure.
Yeah.
The Black that was phenomenal. So, yeah, I agree with it being like organic,
Mhm.
kind of conversation, just letting it flow. I try to have for me a few questions. As sometimes it is hard for me to come up with stuff off the top of my head. But so far, I feel like most of mine have been pretty conversational.
Well, that's another reason why I like having a co-host, because he'll
Yes.
ask totally different questions than I do. And sometimes, you know, it's better that way. But then sometimes it's like, hey, let me ask a question too. But it works, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find it really important to, I don't want to say important, but interesting to have somebody else on there too to get their perspective on how they think about things too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mike, does your husband help with the pythons or do you do them alone? My wife's terrified.
He helps. He loves doing it just as much as I do. He gets in there and just, you know, when it's time to clean and stuff, we go in there as a team and get it knocked out. Just like the rats, we go out there as a team and get it knocked out, you know.
Mhm.
But I do feel for people whose spouse, they don't like them, because that's a lot of work.
A lot of work, and feel like you really need a good support system if you're going to do this. It's near impossible if your significant other or whatever doesn't approve of
Yeah.
them or doesn't like them. Like, yeah, can't do without them.
Well, that's like, you can't have a jealous spouse in this either. You know, I've seen couples fighting because, you know, like one guy was talking to his female customer for too long, and the wife's back there just, you know, all pruded up and stuff. And you're like, calm down. They're talking about a snake. So, and like I said, me with traveling, I travel with Sammy and his friend John, you know. I see nothing wrong with that. And there's some people in industries like, oh my gosh, she travels with two other guys. Oh, and I'm like, gosh, you do. They're my bodyguards. You mess with me, you're messing with them. More like I'm their bodyguards because they're two old men. But
that's funny.
Yeah, Sammy's a great guy. I can't say enough good about Sammy. And you know, I have two people I talk to in the industry every day, and that's Jamie and Sammy. And like FaceTime calling, you know, getting updates, just talking, you know. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, really needed, I think. My boyfriend, he doesn't really help me clean per se, but he supports it. But he would just rather play on his phone or something. He will if I'll ask him, but I hate asking him, but it does make it go by faster. And I don't have that many animals where it's not that big of a deal right now.
right.
He's always saying, he's like, we need to do like a lot of clutches. And I'm like, bruh, I'm the only one doing this right now. Like, no. You can think about it, but I was like, if you want me to have more, you're gonna have to help me. So
Bobby, I like that comment, but I'm not as up to on the identification and
specifics of them.
Yeah.
Like I was saying earlier, it's kind of like a different language, and you have to like learn the language, so to
You
speak, like
do.
be immersed in it, listen to stuff all like it's kind of obsessive, I think. But I mean,
Yeah.
learn it. So yeah.
Yeah. And then the abbreviations, that's what really threw me for a loop, trying to learn everything. And I'm like, what's BH, blackhead
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And you're just like, it's kind of like I crochet. So it's kind of like reading a crochet pattern because everything's abbreviated and you're just like, oh shit.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. For me, yes. And then also learning like freaking Gene has like 2 or 3 different names and trying to figure out if it's testing the same, it's not testing the same. Do we think it's the same? It's like, it's so confusing. All the names for the different genes has been the hardest thing for me. And like also knowing like if there's like a certain gene with certain other genes and has another name, what that means a combination of genes. That
like the Carnage Nanny. It's like,
yeah.
come on, it's been Nanny. We don't have to do the other.
I still don't understand that. I don't know. I don't know what they are.
But yeah, it was really hard to learn all the genetics. And then, there's new genetics coming out and you get on MORPH Market and you're like, okay, let's look up some new traits today. And you're like, oh my goodness. Like the smoke gene. I love the smoke gene in the super form, but I'll probably never have it.
Yeah, that one I was looking at too for some time as well. But I just can't have everything. But I like the look of it.
Yeah, right.
Is it similar to another gene? I thought
the smoke gene.
Yeah, is it
kind of like a granite gene? But man, it does pattern and a little bit of color, but the pattern, I love it.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. I felt like I had it, like we maybe thought it was similar to another gene, but I can't remember now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're coming up to an hour and a half, which I said that was kind of where I like to stop at. So I'll ask just a few more kind of wrapping up questions. If anybody in the chat has any questions, go ahead and put them out there so we can kind of wrap this up. And going forward.
What's up?
Going forward. Oh, I see Boza in the chat.
Boza and James, what's up?
Yeah, James too. See that a little bit above, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool, Mike.
What do you say? Oh, I missed it.
Oh,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I could not imagine, like, I'd have to talk to him about being blind in this hobby. Could you, like, that'd be so difficult. Like, you know what I mean? Like, try if you know, because a lot of it's visual, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know how I would like to, like, talk to him and just kind of just ask questions and how he works through that.
Yeah.
One other kind of finishing up question to it. How do you like promote your pod? Like, how do you start out promoting it, and how does that affect you promoting it now? I mean, a lot of people obviously know you, and so you may not have to promote the same way, but
just really going on other podcasts and being in the comments, and then your social media, sharing it on all the platforms you can. I really don't wear my stuff, like my shirts and stuff, out too much, but like this one has a QR code on the back of it.
Oh, cool.
Business cards, stickers, we do some local stuff. We'll do like a local birthday party or something and pass out stickers. I do take my snakes up to a nursing home here, and the old people love them. Some of them do. Some of them are terrified, but for the most part, they do like them. And
that's awesome.
I don't know. Just keep it simple.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've been trying to learn on how I can promote things and work on the social media, and it takes some time for sure, but very needed, I think, too. The Wild Type podcast. Thanks for hopping in. It's another ladies podcast as well. That's okay. This is on YouTube, so you can replay it tomorrow. So no problem with that. And where would you like to see yourself in say 5 years, whether it's your projects or podcasting, both?
On a beach holding a dirty martini. No.
I could behind that.
Yeah, we have a really big Bobby's in there laughing. I heard that. We have a really big backyard, and I do want to build a building out there
Mm,
and kind of take my house back, but still keep it at a manageable size. Like I said, I do want to start vending better shows and more
mm,
shows. My first
mm.
show. um, but I would like to be able to stay at home and do the animals,
Okay. Hmm.
So maybe one day.
Yeah, having a building is nice. We were talking about that, my boyfriend and I, the other day. Whenever I move, whenever we get a house, I was like, one with a yard would be nice because I would like to have like a shed with the rodents out there, and then maybe one with the snakes too, just so they're not like in the home and have more space in the home. So that's something that as we get to there, we'll think about that and do some planning. Now, since I kind of know what I would like to do when we look for a house, it can make it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Trying to
That's
see
something
any
else I would like too, another building for the rodents, because ours is in the garage.
Oh, okay. That can make it hard too, and sure get kind of warm in the Oklahoma heat in the summer, I'm sure.
Oh, they have an air conditioner.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, they got an air conditioner and fan. It actually stays
Oh.
cooler in the garage than it does in the house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Spoiled. Trying to
Yep.
see any other questions. I don't see any, but we've had a lot of really good ones tonight, and so I really appreciate you guys. Kind of a lot of people tapped in and asking really thoughtful questions. I have a couple comments in the chat. It was a great conversation. So yeah, appreciate you
Yeah.
guys. Thank you. Wrapping this up, how can people reach out to you, follow you, contact you?
So on Instagram, Facebook, both, it's Texoma.exotics. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Was there
Keeping it-
anything keeping it simple? Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there anything I didn't ask tonight that you wish I did ask? Anything like that?
No, I think you did a great job. And
Oh.
you're on 11th episode, girl. You're killing it. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thank you so much. Awesome. Yeah, I would try to get better each episode, but just kind of letting the conversations flow and make it meaningful for people is all I kind of really care about.
Right.
But yeah, awesome. Okay. Well, I'll put you kind of backstage and I'll just say goodnight after I'm done here and go from there.
All right.
So, all right. Bye, Holly.
Bye.
Okay, guys, that was awesome episode. I'm so excited. She's super nice. We kind of hit it off in Daytona and fantastic episode talking about her podcasting experience. So with that, next week we're gonna have Miss Lady Tiss on talk about her experience in the hobby. She works with pretty big constrictors and snakes, so getting her expertise on that is going to be really exciting. So again, I really enjoyed this episode. It was a great time. We hit off and can't wait to see her in person again. So thanks for listening, guys, and see you next week.